Well, the UAW is still on strike, and now it is spreading to Canada and Mexico and to some of the suppliers. There are a lot of people out of work, and this is taking way too long to get settled. Why is it taking so long? What do they really want? Well, we're going to discuss that. Stay right with us. Welcome back to the channel. This is 4 Minute Friday, and I am Lauren Fix. Here's what's going on in your automotive world. This week's show is brought to you by WheelWish. If you're thinking about buying a new vehicle, no matter what brand, make sure to check out wheelwish.com. Get your best prices. Think about it like, I don't know, Priceline for cars. You can buy it online. You don't even have to leave your house or get out of your pajamas. Here's what's going on in your automotive world. Let's put 4 minutes on the clock. We are entering the 12th day of the UAW strike. Now, sounds like it's just a GM situation, but in reality, it's expanded. You've got the Canadian Union now laying off people because a lot of vehicles are built there. Somewhere around 2,000 people are without jobs. And now it's expanded into Mexico because they want to stand by their brethren. But also, the truth of it is, they build a lot of product down there and also a lot of components that go back and forth across the border. That's why they're actually on strike. And it's affecting companies like Magna as well. The reason for that is they build a lot of components that are in the trucks and cars that are built by General Motors. Now, think about the impact of all of this. It's not just those workers and those sub companies that supply, but it's also affecting the dealers because dealers aren't getting parts to repair your vehicle. So you don't own a GM vehicle. Do I really care? Well, you really need to think about the impact of this on the auto industry. When manufacturers can't build cars, it does affect the economy, but it also affects jobs on more than one level. Now, if you're thinking about buying a new Corvette, guess what? The Bowling Green plant is not producing cars as well. If you're thinking about buying one of those new hot Cadillac XT6, same thing. Thinking about buying a Chevy Bolt EV, maybe you custom ordered a car, you're going to have to wait. So these are the kind of things that you may not think about, but it does impact many people. But when it comes to the unions, it's very interesting. They want, of course, more wages, better benefits. They want more sick pay. They want a path for part-time workers to be full-time workers. And you start thinking about all the things that they're demanding. I don't get an annual raise. I don't know if you get an annual raise, but they certainly get paid a good amount of money to build cars, and that's great. One other thing that it does affect is the local communities. You get your local dealers that hire local people. The dealers aren't getting parts. People don't have jobs. You're going to watch layoffs going on local dealer level. That is a problem as well. There are some additional factors that I think you might want to know about. First, I'm not happy with the arrests that are happening with people destroying other people's cars that are just driving by the plants. That's not cool. Now, come on, why do you have to wreck someone else's car? Whether it be a GM product or not, they're not necessarily going to work to take your job. They're just driving by. There's been a lot of problems and a lot of arrests, something that I think should not happen. One other cloud that's hanging over the UAW, which is kind of why I wanted to bring this to your attention, is that 9 of the union leaders were arrested for felony indictments, kickbacks, money laundering, millions of dollars. One guy even had millions of dollars in his garage. Now think about it. You've got millions of dollars in your garage in cash. I want to know where your garage is, actually. But the fact is that's not good. And it doesn't help the unions settle this because the union people want to unite. They want to be together. That's what unions are about. Now think about the expense to the manufacturer. That could end up costing you more money when you buy a new car. GM did plan ahead. They had 77 days of product in the pipeline, but those products still have to get from where they're parked to the dealerships. Again, those are union jobs. Think about what some of the other brands are doing to avoid the union expense because it is expensive to have a union house. I'm not saying it's good or bad. You can make your decision on that. But what they're doing is they're building in non-union states, such as Volkswagen and Nissan. Why? Costs them less, more profits. They can afford to pay their people more. And believe me, if they're not treating them right, people will leave. They will complain. They can create a union. They don't want to do that. So in a right-to-work state, they don't have unions. So this is an interesting scenario because General Motors is building a lot of product in Mexico and they're building stuff in China, but that usually is going for the Chinese market. So don't get that wrong. If you're building in China, it's for the Chinese market. Now, another thing to keep in mind is when you're looking at these cars and what they're building and the cost of vehicles today, there are 2 plants they shut down, the Lordstown, Ohio plant and the Hamtramck plant in Michigan. And GM has said, we'll put $7 billion investing into these plants to put them back up. And we're going to put electric vehicles in there, which sounds good on the surface, but electric vehicles are not selling well here in the US. So what are they going to do, run one production line? So I don't think that's really the answer. So if you're working with the UAW, you're part of the people on strike and you're watching, yeah, I don't know if I would be a big supporter of trying to put electric vehicles in those plants. They may be building electric vehicles, but people aren't buying them, and you can tell by looking at what's on the lots across this United States. When it comes to those two older plants, it may be that they can be updated, revamped, or even sold, possibly bringing other jobs to your communities. I hope so for your sake, because the fact is we want to keep everyone working. What's really important and interesting is that the UAW targeted General Motors. Why not Ford? Why not FCA? Well, they've already got tentative plans in place, which I found very interesting that they decided to go after General Motors. They are putting out some really good product. They did have a very profitable year. But targeting these companies when things are good are fine, but when things are bad, they're not going to be able to support those annual raises, those profit sharing, those benefits. So when you're thinking about what do they really want, they want more of the profits that General Motors is making. And I don't blame them. If you're working hard, you're building cars, all right, you deserve a piece of the pie. But there is a point where they can't give you everything. There's a lot of employees. When you're thinking about 46,000 employees right now that are standing there on union picket lines, that could be a problem. So what I want to bring to your attention is, if you've got a General Motors car, you're looking at buying a vehicle and you can't get it repaired, maybe you know someone, keep in mind the reason might be the fact that they can't get parts because they stand together. And I give them a lot of credit because unity is really important if you want to solve this problem quickly. So let's hope they get to the table, and by the end of this week, we will have a resolution. People will be back to work, cars will be back on the lot, and we can get to see that new Corvette quickly. I will be at the Corvette convertible reveal next Wednesday night. So make sure to follow us on our YouTube channel. We'll be doing a YouTube Live. We'll also be tweeting, posting pictures on Instagram. And if you have any questions about the Corvette convertible coming out, we really want to hear them, and I will ask the questions for you. We have been very busy this past week driving the Lincoln Corsair, the Hyundai Sonata, and a bunch of other really cool vehicles. If you have any questions and you want to check those out, they're over here. And of course, all our social media is down below. We put up some really great pictures, and we are partnering in with our Spanish friends, Al Vasquez and Javier Mota. You can follow them also down below. We appreciate you watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.